We're going to be going over the line tools, which basically start off in 2D mode. And since my canvas here, or my viewer, still got a slight tilt to it, I want to kind of have this facing forward towards me, looking at me, which will basically resemble as 2D because I'm going to be looking straight at it. Now, if you model why this thing is tilted, it could cause you problems down the line. That's just in some cases, but not all cases. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and go into the front view. And for sake here, I'm just going to go ahead and press the view all. I'm going to go ahead and zoom this back a little bit, bring this down. And I'm going to use this the grid as a reference so you can see what I'm actually doing here. And I'm going to select a square here, and we'll start off in the center here. And of course we can just drag to the right, and you can see it's up in the upper right hand corner, or you can go bottom right, bottom left, top left. Now if you notice, the square right now matches the square on the grid. Now if I move my cursor to the right, it will out jump the square there, but if I click over here, it's still going to leave the square to match it to the grid. So I'll delete that and make another one and show you a little different here. Now if you want to, as long as your cursor's in the box, the square box, or between the 2 points, and you scale up, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. So when I click here, that's one way of doing it. So I'll delete that. Now we're going to go over to rectangle. I'm going to click once here, then I'm going to drag. As you can see, I can make it how wide I want it, or how long I want it, or the height and the width. And you can also adjust it just by moving your cursor. It's pretty much easy to understand if you just move your cursor and look at it, because what you see is what you get right there. So I'll select here and click. And as long as you're in universal manipulator mode, you can also grab the cubes on here to scale this in, or whatever you want. You can also turn it with these handles. I'll just hold the shift key so it'll snap into the correct axis. As you can see, it's snapping around there. And I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to be going over the polyline here. I've already got it selected. You can see over here in my properties. And what I want you to do is pay attention to my first click, which is the beginning, and my last click at the end. That's the only thing you need to pay attention to. There's my first one towards the top, one here, and this is my end one. I'm going to double click to validate that. Alright, as you can see, I got one curve over here. I've been experimenting around, so it says curve 16. That's why you probably see the word 16 here, the number 16. Now when I select this again, just keep an eye on the symmetry. It made two separate curves. Now if I wanted to make this one curve, which is called a composite curve, I need to join these two lines together. We have some icons. We got 3 icons. 2 of them has got blue lines through them, showing there is some connection. This one here says do not connect. There is no blue line indicating anything's connecting. And if you hover over the next ones, connect to the beginning of the last selected curve. This one says connect to the end of the last selected curve. Now if that sounds confusing, remember one word in each sentence. This word says the word end is connect to the end, and this one says connect to the beginning. So we got the word end and beginning. Where was the beginning? It was the first one here. That was the start. So when I select it, it selects to the beginning. Now when I double click over here somewhere, this, keep an eye over in the scene tree, these will join as one when I double click. This now is a composite curve. This would be good if, like, let's say I wanted to add some thickness to it. Let me explain a composite curve. A composite curve is multiple lines or curves, whatever you want to call them, and they are joined as one. A composite curve is separate different lines, and they are joined as one as if they'd be welded. A composite curve must have a beginning and end point. Some of these icons up here, they all are open, which is called an open curve. If it's closed curve, it will not work, like a square, a rectangle, or a circle. So let's select the polyline here, and we'll click here and double click to validate. Now I want to make a composite curve off this to make it as another line that was kind of welded to it. So let's select to the next one. As you can see over in the scene tree, it added another one. If you didn't see it, I'll Control Z that for you there. So I'll select it again, and I want you to keep an eye over here. They're two separate ones. They are not welded as one or a composite curve yet until I select this icon, and they're still separate until I double click and validate. And when I do, keep an eye over here. This is what you call a composite curve. And I can select to the next one and click as many times as I want. I have two separate curves. I validate it. I now have a composite curve. I'll give you a little demonstration what wouldn't work, because it's got a closed hole, or it's closed. It would be a circle. When I select it, you can see I do not have the options to connect to the start or end positions of these points. But anyway, that is a little definition of a composite curve. I'll be going back over the polyline again, and I'll show you some other options. If you look at the icon here, if you look at the white lines, they resemble what they're going to do. As you can see, they're going straight in one direction, straight down the other direction, and back up in another direction. This indicates it does straight lines. So if I select here and over here, down here, which is the end one, now this icon here will close the hole. The holes will usually be the start and the end. So if I select it, as you can see, it closed it there. We'll delete that and we'll do another one. And I'll show you a different way to close them. So we'll start here, here, and let's say here. Now I'll move close to it, and at this time I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to keep it held down. A little white crosshair will pop up. Now if I move my cursor close enough to that other point, the start point, it'll snap to it. I'll let go of the shift key, and what you can do is just get close to it and just drag to it, and it'll snap to it. I'll do it again, shift key, snap. And one more time, I'll just hold it down here, move my cursor close enough, double click to validate it. Now if you notice, this bottom line here is kind of jagged. It's because the start and the end here, they are not straight across from each other. That's why I got this little jagged here, and I want to be a little bit more precise on this. So I'll delete this, and I'm going to use this this mode here. Allows me to snap the mouse to the feedback grid. Now what the feedback grid is not actually the grid that you're seeing here. It'll be, I'll show you, it's this red indicator line here and the green one. These are the feedback grids. So if I start here and select up here, okay, now I want to go directly across from there. From this one here, I want to go directly across. Then I'll click it, Now if I move my cursor a little bit to the left, I want to double make sure that, see, you can see it went straight across there. So I can just press close, and now you can see I got a nice straight line across the bottom. I'll be going over the intro plaited curve. Sometimes through this video you'll hear me call them lines. I'll call them lines or curves. To me they're both. So I'm going to use this intro plaited curve here, and it asks you to at least have 3 points between the first and end point. You can have more, but this is for making smooth curves. So this will be my start. Now I'm gonna need 3 between it. So this will be my first one, my second one, my third one, and this is the last one. As you can see, we have some options over here. We'll set this to 5. Validate. Now, long as I was doing this in full DG mode, dynamic geometry, I can use a stretch tool to adjust this. As you can see, I got my 3 points here that I can adjust it. And I Control Z that. Now I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to select it again. This time I'm going to select it down to 1. And I'm going to select, let's say, here, 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 and here, and validate it. Are these actually the same lines? Do they look the same? Well, no, they don't look the same, but actually these are the same. I'm going to increase the smoothing. Let's bring this over here just a little bit. 1, 2, 3. And these are basically the same lines. I'll be going over a little bit more tips on this later. This is the curve here. This is also makes smooth curves. It's almost like the intro plaited. Let me just show you the difference so you can understand. As I said before, they must have at least 3 points between the first and the last. So just click a couple here. And let me validate that. And when I press the stretch here, now you'll be able to tell the difference. Now you can see right here, the yellow line is the segment. Now if you look at the curve, the one on the bottom, the curve touches the segment, which is the yellow line, but it does not connect to the points. As you can see, the points here do not match the point over there. Let's just do a little comparison. Let's put this one up here compared to this one here. Now you can see the segments are attached to the points here. The line and the segments. The segment is the yellow line, and you can see the points are touching or matching here and here. And if I go to the other one, you can see the points up here do not touch to the this point here don't touch to the segment. There are two different. You might come up with different controls by doing it like this. So that's basically the two difference in here that I can see. We're going to go over to the circles up here. If you click the little icon here, you got some more options here. And I'm going to start off with circle from Symmetry, from Symmetry. What happened is it's going to start exactly where the center of the circle is at. As you can see here, I can actually just go ahead and type 0, 0, 0, press enter, then press apply. And when I do, look in the center there, you'll see a green circle that pops up. I don't know if I said this before, but I did switch to the top view mode. And now this is going to start the circle where the symmetry of the circle is at. Now I can press the space bar to adjust this circle and make it like an ellipse or just kind of oval shape. And as you can see, when I click, I got this little icon that came up. This will indicate me that I can adjust the points by using the numeric pad on the right or the numpad on the very far right of your keyboard to add or subtract. And you can put your mouse in here and click and use your scroll wheel. And you can tick the little icons, or you can hold the icon down and move your mouse up or down, or just type in the value, press enter. Now we're going to go ahead and go to the next one. Now this one here is circle from basic, so I'll select it here. I will start in the middle, and when I press up like this, it doesn't start in the center, it just starts from the basic. And if I drag below, as you can see, it'll do this right here. Let's move to the next one, and we'll select here, choose a point on the circle. I can hold the shift key here and snap to the center of it, and when I let go, as you can see, I can kind of rotate this thing around. Then I'll hold the shift key and snap to this other one. As you notice, this icon has got a blue point on the corner left here and upper right. This is asking you to snap to it. So let me show you again. Let's delete this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it again. I'm going to select here and let go. Then hold the shift key down again, and I can do it like that. I'll pause the video and give you another little demonstration here. I had paused the video and set this up. We're going to select this one again. Select from diameter. As you notice, there is two little blue points on here, as it indicates, as I said earlier. And I'm going to hold the shift key down and select to this first point here. Then let go. Then select to that one. Double click. Then we'll just validate it. And basically with the third one here, as you can see, now it's got 3 points. Before I do that, I'll just go ahead and delete this one here. We'll just add another one here. And this icon's got 3 of them, so it needs 3 of these here. And I'll hold the shift key, snap to that one, and that's basically how that works. I had skipped one over here, as you probably noticed, the Bezier curve, and I was just seeing if you paid attention, but no, I'm coming back to it. This curve here is like making multiple curves. You can do straight lines, you can do curved lines. It's like one composite curve into one without having to make a composite curve. So I can click here, then I click up here. Now that made a straight line. Now if I select down here, it made a straight line. Now if I click up here and just hold my mouse button down and just drag out just a little bit, I want to pull in the direction that I'm going to be clicking, so I'll pull kind of a little bit out this direction since I'm going to be clicking over here. And I'll hold my mouse button down. Now I'm going to drag downwards because I'm going to be clicking kind of down to an angle just a little bit. And I'll do one here and drag out. Then I'll just click here and click here. Now these all can be adjusted by these little tangent handles here. You can drag them out, pull them up and down. And if you happen to validate it, as long as you're in full DG mode and you want to come back and edit this curve, we'll use a stretch tool. And we can select them and move them around like this. Now I'm going to hold the control key down and the shift key and click on here. As you can see, it removed one. Now if I select this tangent handle up here and hold the control key down and the shift key and click it, as you can see, it made them sharp on the where the 2 points meet. I'm going to hold just the control key down and select this one here. As you can see, I made the tangent handle. I will hold the control key down and the shift key at the same time and select over here. As you can see, I kind of broke one side off. One's got the sway to it, and the other one's straight up and down. I will hold my control key down, and you can see I can pull out two. And if I hold the control shift key down again and click over here, I'll break that side. This actually or just deletes them. Alright, we're going to be going over the arch tool here. And when I select it, as you notice, it's got a bunch of little different icons here. We'll select the top one here first. But before I start, I'm going to turn on the snap grid here. And when I select it, the top one, it's got the number from the left to the left is number 2, number 1 is the center, number 3 is the right. Now click them in that order, so it'd be 1, 2, and 3. So 1 is the center. Then I'm going to click to the left, that's going to be number 2. Now number 3 is the very far right. I'm going to tap the space bar, and as you can see, 180 degrees is a half a circle, which would be an arch. So I'll click and validate it. Of course, we got our options for our points and stuff here. Alright, now let's go to the second one. Let's just do it like the first one, just to compare what would happen. Remember, I started in the middle, went to the end, then swung around. Of course, it don't look right. So the right way to do it would be to, let's go back down here. It's telling me to select number 1. Let's go ahead and lock this one so I don't select it. It's telling me to select the number 1 is on the left. Number 2 is in the middle. And number 3 is on the far right. As you can see, now this is the same thing. So we'll go ahead and lock that one. And we'll go to the next one is 1, 3, 2. So this is 1. Then go to number 2. Then if I go up to number 3, then I have another arch. So we'll lock that one. Then we'll go down the line. This one is 1, 3, 2, 1 on the left, and 1 on the right, and 3 in the middle. As you can see, there's another arch. And we'll go down to the next one. We have 1, 2, and 3. This is 1. This is 2. And this one here is actually just a little different than the rest of them. So let's turn all these back on. As you can see, they're all the same arches. Let's go back over the last one more time here. Let me just show you something here. I'll select down here. 1, then 2. Now I got this little handle that I can move up and down. As you can see there, that's pretty much an arch right there. Alright, another thing is, just for a little tip here, let me just turn this grid snap off. Sometimes when you bring these out like this, you'll get this big old circle that just pops right up. Now if I was to make an arch, sometimes I'll have to swing it all the way around to make the arch right here. But you can solve that. Let me bring it back like it was. If instead of going all the way around to the right like this to make the arch, what I can do when it's like this, and just go ahead and drop it below it just a little bit of this red line where the starting point is, then bring it back around. Then that way I don't have to do a complete circle. One little more tip here. We look at this arch here. These are you click them in order as 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, and just keep on doing what the icon shows you. This one here, the number 1 is the center which you start with. Okay, this one icon is showing that, but this one is not supposed to be used as a composite curve, is because the center is not actually a point that you start with, because it's actually starting from the center rather than a point. So you wouldn't use this as a composite curve. You could use something else like this one here. 1, 2, and 3. Then if we added another one, of course, then we got some options over here. So this one is, you can basically do anything you want with it. As you can see, I got one curve. Here's the helix. We'll use this here. We're going to use this cross here in the grid as a reference. And my first click will be the base of the helix. And when we drag it out, this will be the width of the helix. And I'll click again, and this will be the height. Now since I use the center as a reference, now you can see the helix will come up to a point. You do not want to cross the halfway mark or the starting point that you came down here. So if I wanted to come to a point, I'd get close to it and click it one time. Then I'll adjust it like this. And that was pretty simple to understand. Here is the 2D text. Probably had noticed there's a lot of switching in and out of this video real quick, is because sometimes I'm pausing the video and restarting it before I go to the next section. So I'll select where I want the 2D text to start. When I click here, give me an option for a box to pop up, and you can adjust anything in here that you want, the value. Actually, I'm holding it down here on the scale value right here on this button, or in the middle of the button. Just pull my mouse up and dragging it up, and I'll validate it. And I'll scale it a little bit further. And what you could use this with, let's say, is the vertex modeling sweep. I'll click it, tap the space bar, double click to validate it, and we'll just go ahead and close this hole here. It's going to ask me, can I apply this operation? Collapse geometry. Don't see no geometry to collapse, but I'm going to press yes. And that's pretty much how that works. And if you got your universal manipulator on, you can scale it to whatever you want. We have this close option here, and we're going to close the start and end point of this line here. It will closes the gap on it as long as it's in the same group over here in the same tree. So when we press close, it closed the gap on it, and we'll delete that. Now we're going to go over to 2D Symmetry, and I'm going to use this center white cross line here, crosshair, as my reference. I'm going to select a Polyline. I'm going to stay exactly one line away from it, or one square away from it, whatever you want to call it. And I'll select here, here, and here. Okay, now I want to mirror it. Okay, as you can see, that the 2 points here that are up and down are 1 cube away from the center point. And if you look where my cursor is at, as you can see, it's going to the center. And you can see I have a bunch of options over here. So this means do not connect. And if you see the blue line on the bottom, that means where it's going to mirror and connect at the bottom. And this one here means it's going to mirror and connect at the top. And this one here is going to mirror and connect at the top and bottom. So let's say I wanted to mirror at the bottom. Okay, I am 1 square away from the center point. So what's going to happen is I move 1 square over, it's going to mirror on the opposite side 1 square. If I click here, it wouldn't work right. So if I'm 1 square away and click it, as you can see, I got 1 square here and 1 on the other side. Let me Control Z that. Alright, now let's say I wanted to now if I did it 2 squares, say I went 1, which is a halfway mark, and 2, now it would automatically mirror 2 more on the other side. So 2 and 2 is 4. So when I click it, as you can see, I got 4 squares now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this and show you something. Alright, now it does matter which order that you make these lines. If I started from, let's say, the bottom and move my way up, let's say about right here, then I try to mirror it. Now I'm going to mirror at the bottom, and it was supposed to connect at the bottom, but this thing says it's going to connect at the end start connect. So let's fix the halfway point and click it and see what happens. As you can see, it connected at the top rather than at the bottom. I'll Control Z that and let you see it one more time. As you can see, that line indicates that it's supposed to connect at the bottom, but when I do, it connects at the top. So it matters which order you go. So if you select here like you're supposed to, and we'll start at the top, then we'll go ahead and mirror it. Okay, it's going to connect at the bottom as it says, and I click it, and sure enough, it connected at the bottom. Control Z that, And we'll just go to the next one. As you can see, it connects at the top as it did there. Control Z that, do it one more time, and we'll connect both. And we'll Control Z that one more time, and this time I will I'll go 2 over here. This is 2 squares away from the where I started at, so that'll equal 4. And now you can see I got 1, 2, 3, and 4. I had paused the video and made another little line out here, composite line of 1. And you can also do this. If we don't want to have any gap, we'll just select over here, hold the shift key down here, and click it right there. Or let's undo that, or we can do this. Do the symmetry. Make sure these are all on 0. Press apply, and it'll mirror it to the other side without no gaps. And one last one, we can just go ahead and press the 2D symmetry, and we can tap the space bar. Change the orientation. If I move it right here, as you can see right here. We have, we're going to go over to the line Tessellate. We're going to select the edge here. We got a point here and a point there. And when we select it, it actually will put a point in the middle of the two. And we can also do the increase smoothing, which will multiply them and separate them in equal spaces. And let's take a few out, and we can insert a point. We can insert a point anywhere we want, free-handed, and validate. As you can see, now I got a point here. And then we got the offset curve. As you can see, it duplicated one and offset it either side that you want. Let me jump back to line Tessellate here. As I said, if you choose to increase smoothing, it puts the points at equal distance apart as it multiplies them. Now the difference with the line Tessellate, you can do the same thing, but the advantage of this is you can actually select any edge. If I select the edge here, now this edge has a point at one end and one at the other. When I line Tessellate it, it'll put one in the middle. What's good about it, I can select multiple lines by shift click. And when I Tessellate, this will do both the edges at once. So I'll have a point in the middle here and one down here. So line Tessellate, let's take a look. As you can see, here's my new one here and my new one down here. And I can keep on doing it, so on and so on. So if I wanted to select one here, and let's say select one here, just line Tessellate, and there's my new one here and my new one down here. As you can see here and over there. Alright, we're going to go to curve extraction. What this does is what you need to do is you need to select the make sure you're in edge mode and select an edge, and this will extract the curve. Now I want to extract all these curves on this box. So I'm going to hold the shift key on the left side, and over on the numpad or numeric pad, I'm going to press the plus sign. I'm going to click it. Next I'm just going to hold it down. And it's selected all the edges. So now all I need to do is I need to go over here and press curve extraction. I'll just go ahead for right now while they're all highlighted, because there's going to be a bunch of curves, and I want to group these so I don't mess up. And I'll just go ahead and hide this one, and as you can see, here is the extracted curves. Now this could come in handy for a lot of things. You can let your imagination go wild on it. So I'll just add some thickness and validate it. I'm going to be going over the reverse curve here. I'll be going over a tip after this too, so this is not the ending yet. But anyway, this is actually a composite curve that I made, and if I select it and always go to the end, as you can see, it went to the end. I'll do it one more time. This is the end. I'm pressing the last icon. Now what the reverse curve does is when we select it, as you can see, here's a little white little indicator here. Let me see if I can zoom this up for you. It's showing down here. So it's asking you to click the opposite end. So I did. Now when I select over here and select the very far right one, it reversed the curve, so now it's over on this side. Here's a little tip on trying to adjust two lines and make them equal in the position. And you can see that I got one line here is actually a little bit longer than the other one on the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the point here, and I'm going to move it back and forth left to right. I want you to take a look at these values up here in the right hand corner when I do that. So you can see this is the only one that's moving right here. So I want to select it pretty close to this white line as I use as my marker. And you can see there's that value. If I select the other end, and let's say I wanted that one there, that'll be that value. So I'll just go ahead and right click this and copy it. Now I'll go ahead and down here and select this line, and then I'll need to select this point. And since I copied that top one position, we'll just paste it, press enter, and need to switch back over the top one. And we need to grab that value. Right click and copy, switch back to the bottom one, and we'll paste that one in there. Press enter. Now we got two lines. Both the points match up equally. Just to show you, let me select this one here. As you see, minus 0, 1.47. Same as up here. And we'll go this side. Minus 35.042. And the same is up here. Here's a little tip on if you're trying to trace something, let's say with a line. I'll give you little demonstrations of how to do it right and how to do it wrong. If I was to trace this cube here, and I select it around the box by clicking here, 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 and shift click to snap it to that. Well, let's go ahead and hide the box. Now I'm going to use the increase smooth. This is actually going to be like subdividing it. As you can see, it started getting round. It's not holding its shape. So we'll delete it. turn this back on. This time we are going to go and do the Polyline. Okay, we're going to start on the corner of it. And once we click once, we're going to select right next to it and click. One before and one after. Now, since there ain't no drastic curve or sway in this cube here, I can go straight to the other side, and I would select right before it, right on the corner, and one right after it. Same way with down here. One before it, one right on the curve, one right after it. Same way over here. One before it, one on the curve, and one right after it. And since we didn't make one before it over here, we need to go and make one, just one before it, and just one right on it. Now let's take a look at what the corners would look like. As you can see here, this one is before it, one right on it, one right after it. Anything that takes a drastic change in directions, you need to make them closer. And as you can see, let me back it up. If you can see between this one and this one, there was no drastic change, so I was able to pull them far apart. But since they started turning real hard here, I needed to keep them together. One before, one on it, one after it. So now when I press the smooth here and keep on pressing it, now it's trying to hold its shape. And I'll give you another demonstration. Alright, I went ahead and loaded this, made a circle out here. Now the circle, it changes directions a little bit. It's kind of consistent all the way around. So what I can do is, if I select up here and be consistent of going around it, or somewhat consistent, like this, okay, now this will help maintain the shape. So if I just hide the circle now and subdivide this, this should actually turn into a circle. And we'll collapse it, and we'll unhide the other one, as you can see right there. I have three objects out here. As you can see, I have a line. It's straight. It does not take any kind of change in direction. Now I have one over here. It's kind of a arch, sort of. It's got a slight direction change to it. Then down here I got one to go straight up and all the way to the right, which takes a complete change of direction when it reaches one corner. So the rule of thumb is, the less it takes change of direction is the further that you can click the points apart. So I can click them like this. Now if it takes a slight change in direction, I need to space them out a little bit closer, but be consistent of equal space, so it would look like this. Now with the less points here would be less polygons, and actually the top circle is basically almost the same as the bottom one. If I subdivide it, you'll be able to see it. Okay, now if something takes a drastic change in directions, you need to do this. You need to, like I said, we're going to start off like the first one here, and when we start up, and now it's going to take a change in direction. Not yet. Now I can click way up here since it's not taking change direction yet. I'll click before it, and a 1 where it would change the direction, and 1 right after it. Now these three points here will help block this from kind of screwing up when you subdivide it. Now since it didn't take no change of direction towards the end, I can go out further as I want. Double click. As you can see here, I'll just zoom into the corners here, and you can see right here, I'll adjust this a little bit, and this one up a little bit here. Now these two here being by this corner helps keep this corner from folding up when you subdivide it.